Dean Zeiler's log, entry 7.4. I'm recording for the permanent archives of the Interspecies Scholastic Academy. Today, the most brilliant young minds from across the charted systems are facing their final, most daunting exam. For generations, we've pursued one audacious goal: to codify and understand the primal nature of fear. Our xenobiologists took the collected nightmares of 1,000 species, the deepest terrors from the galaxy's collective subconscious, and engineered the ultimate apex predator. We call it the Fear Beast. Rumor has it, its claws can rend starship hulls. Its subsonic roar is tuned to a frequency that can liquefy the nervous systems of lesser beings. Its very presence is engineered to induce absolute primal terror. The task for our students is elegantly simple: observe the creature, analyze its behavior, and survive. They think they're prepared. They've studied every schematic, every biological projection. But there's one variable they haven't accounted for. One element we included as a control group of one. Subject designation: David, the class human. The low hum of the containment field had been a constant, reassuring presence in the observation chamber for weeks. Now it started to waver. A high-pitched whine cut through the amphitheater. And the brilliant students, the Cathar twins with their chittering mandibles, the gelatinous Flixian prodigy, the stoic Groll from a high-gravity world, all went rigid. On the main view screen, a red light blinked faster and faster. Containment field failure. A collective gasp stole the air from the room. A deep, resonant growl, like the sound of continents grinding together, vibrated through the deck plates. The durasteel door to the containment vault, a door rated to withstand a tactical plasma charge, began to buckle. A single hairline fracture spidered across its surface, then another. With a deafening shriek of tortured metal, the door was ripped from its moorings and hurled across the chamber. Panic erupted. The students, for all their academic brilliance, were gripped by the very terror they were supposed to be studying. They scrambled backward, their meticulously prepared data slates forgotten. From the darkness of the vault, a shadow emerged. It was long and low, a creature of midnight and obsidian glass. It moved on 6 powerful legs, each step silent, each claw a shard of polished black metal. Multiple eyes, glowing like embers in a pit, swept across the room. It opened its maw to reveal 3 rows of crystalline teeth, and a cold vapor rolled out with its breath, a tangible manifestation of the fear it embodied. It fed on the ambient terror, and these students were serving up a feast. The creature seemed to swell, its form growing larger and more defined with every panicked gasp. The Fear Beast took a step forward, its multifaceted eyes scanning the cowering collection of the galaxy's finest. It passed the Cathar twins, who had flattened themselves to the floor, their limbs trembling. It ignored the Flixian, who was trying to ooze under a console. It gave the Groll warrior, whose species was famed for courage, nothing more than a passing glance. Its head tilted, as if listening to a sound no one else could hear. Then, with an unnerving sense of purpose, it began to move. It wasn't charging. It wasn't stalking. It was just walking with a strange, deliberate grace. And it was walking directly toward the one being in the room who wasn't screaming, cowering, or trying to phase through the bulkhead. It was walking toward David. Frantic whispers flooded the student's private comms channel. Analysis: the human must be emitting a high-frequency pacification pheromone. It's the only logical explanation. Negative. My sensors aren't picking up any such compound. This has to be psychological warfare. The human is projecting an aura of dominance that's confusing the predator's instincts. Absurd. It's a primate from a backwater Class 7 planet. The beast is clearly toying with its food, savoring the weakest prey for last. A classic intimidation tactic. From the safety of the upper observation deck, I, Dean Zeiler, watched with my own spiracles flared in disbelief. The human, David, hadn't moved. He was just sitting on a low bench, posture relaxed, his hands resting on his knees. He wasn't even looking at the approaching creature. His gaze was distant, his expression one of mild contemplation. He looked like he was waiting for a bus, not about to be dismembered by a biological weapon. The Fear Beast reached the human. The chamber fell into a silence so profound it was louder than the panic that came before. The students held their breath, their multiple hearts hammering against their ribs. This was it, the gruesome end to their failed experiment. The creature lowered its massive head, its glowing eyes now level with the human's chest. It let out a low rumble, and David, for the first time, turned his attention to it. He didn't flinch. He didn't recoil. He just looked at the beast. And then he spoke, his voice calm and steady. "Hey there, buddy. he said softly. You're scared, aren't you? The monster froze. Its terrifying rumble faltered. It sniffed the air around the human, and then, impossibly, it leaned forward, nudging David's outstretched hand with its snout. The human responded not by pulling away, but by gently placing his palm on the creature's head, right between two of its glowing eyes. It's okay, David murmured. Everything's loud out here, I get it. It's a lot. And then the unthinkable happened. The fear beast, the culmination of 1,000 nightmares, the galaxy's most perfectly engineered predator, made a sound. It wasn't a growl or a snarl. It was a deep, vibrating purr. It pushed its head more firmly into David's hand, then folded its 6 legs beneath itself, curling its enormous body up on the floor right at the human's feet. It rested its head on David's lap and closed all of its eyes. The assembled students of the Interspecies Scholastic Academy could only stare, their brilliant minds short-circuiting in absolute, horrified disbelief. Their apex predator, their final exam in terror, was cuddling. For a full minute, the only sounds were the faint hum of emergency lights and the deep, contented purr of a sleeping monster. Finally, my own nephew, one of the Cathar twins, managed to activate his comlink, his voice a trembling whisper. Human. David. What is this? By what mechanism have you pacified the specimen? Is it psionic? Biological? A tech device we failed to screen for? David looked up from stroking the beast's armored hide, genuinely perplexed by the question. He glanced down at the creature sleeping peacefully on his lap, then back at the observation window where the other students were huddled. Mechanism? He asked, a small confused smile on his face. There's no mechanism. He's just scared. He was born in a lab, raised in a box, and then you guys blasted a siren and threw him into a room full of screaming aliens. Of course he was panicking. He gave the creature a gentle scratch behind an ear-like ridge, and its purr grew louder. Aggression is usually just fear trying to defend itself, David explained. This big guy isn't mean, he was just terrified. You kept sending prey species to study a predator. You never sent another predator. The weight of his words settled over the students. Prey species. He had just classified every one of them, the brightest minds of the galaxy, as prey. And himself? The implication was unspoken and undeniable. He's not a specimen, David added, his voice soft but firm. He's just an animal who needed someone to not be afraid of him. He looked down at the monstrous creature. He's basically just a big scaly cat, with a few extra legs. Log entry 7.5 supplemental. This is Dean Zylar. Following the events of the final exam, all research into the Fear Beast program has been suspended indefinitely. The specimen, who the human has named Murphy, now lives in the human's quarters. It refuses to eat unless David is present and shows signs of extreme distress if separated from him for more than a few hours. We've had to completely rewrite our assessment of the human species. Our previous classification, Class 7 bipedal primate, moderate tool use, emotionally compromised, has been struck from the record. The new designation, submitted this morning to the Galactic Council, is far simpler. We've concluded that Earth isn't a death world because of its predators. It's a death world because it produced a species so paradoxically empathetic and audacious that they turned their own apex predators into companions. A species that can look at a monster born of nightmares and offer it comfort is operating on a level we don't yet comprehend. Our students came here to study fear. Instead, they learned a profound and terrifying lesson about something else entirely: the baffling, unpredictable, and frankly unnerving power of human compassion. The final report concluded with a single chilling question. What else in the universe could they befriend?